I was a free agent early on. I came to Jesus at age 27, and almost immediately I went to seminary. And I learned a lot of theology, but I was arrogant. I was like a Pharisee. And I came to this community that I am still in now, that my son is pastoring at Open Door Fellowship. And I was preaching, and I didn't know what I was talking about. I was hidden. I judged a ton. And inside, I had this voice track loop going, "Hey, funny boy, you know, they like you a lot, but I'm on to you. And I'm going to have to expose you. And I'm going to have to call you out, buddy. And you'll thank me for it someday." This, this sense that God, my own God, wanted to, that he was, and I wouldn't, I didn't even have anything that I could think of that he would expose me in, but I live with that. I think I preached out of that buck-upism and out of that trying to convince you that I was superior. I think I probably for 3 years preached that way. I can't even believe how God allowed that community to let me stay in that role. But eventually they got through to me. A community taught me how to be loved. And it has changed everything for me. God used a community that I don't even think they actually even knew great language for what they were living. They were just living it. Language came later. We now have really good language for it. But then there was just this sense they knew enough about grace. They knew enough about who they were in Christ. They knew enough about permission and protection. They knew enough about environments of grace, how that would work, that they loved me in a way that I'd always before did everything based on my talent. They won't get rid of me because I'm talented. And to find out the only way I could fail in that community was to not let myself be loved. That I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know how does somebody live that way. So tonight I want to talk about that. One of the reasons I'm on here tonight is because this community is taking that risk to live this way in grace. And I want to tell you, it will all get tested. It will get tested immensely, not just once. And you'll say, "What have we done?" And you will fail at it, by the way. You will, in some ways, fail at it almost as often as it gets tested in some way. But if you just stay in the arena with each other and don't go, you will watch magic happen, wonder happen, beauty happen, transformation, restoration, reformation. You will watch the glory of God in your community and the glory of God in the next generation. So I want to encourage you with that. Sometimes I'm going to be reading things tonight, so forgive me when I look down. I wrote regarding community, many were taught, many of us, to work on our righteousness in private so we could display it in public. Grace teaches us that we are already righteous. And so we get to show what it looks like in public by the humility of trusting others with our limitations. Grace teaches us that we're already righteous, so we get to show what it looks like in public by the humility of trusting others with our limitations. So I want to talk about environments and relationships of grace. That was a key theme in Bose. And then permission and protection. I haven't talked about that in a while. First, I want to give a definition. Um, if I'm going to talk about environments and relationships of grace, I don't want to presume that we all have the same working definitions. So let me give a definition that I've cobbled together over the years. Grace is the absolute and unforced favor gained by Christ's death and resurrection, allowing God to be completely for us and endlessly in love with us, apart from anything we must prove. Grace is an actual realm, a way of life in which we no longer strive for acceptance. We mature, heal, and are released into His intentions by trusting that Jesus and all of His power is fused into us, creating an entirely new person. Um, and I also want to make the statement that grace is not a superior theology perfected to defeat other theologies. Um, I I wrote a piece this week and put it up on Facebook, and then I have another one that I had not read for years that a friend gave me, and I go, "Gosh, how have I been without that statement for a while?" So I want to give that one. Grace is not to free us from obeying the heart of God. Grace, I love this picture, is the nutrient rich soil that seeds of truth drop into so that they're not choked by self condemnation or failure. Instead, no longer afraid of God's disgust, we can obey God from the heart rather than from compliance. And we grow into a beautiful, healthy, tree giving shade to others. Um, Grace also is a modus operandi. It's a operating system in that it gives us power that nothing else can give us. I love Romans 6:14. It says, sin will not ever get to be master over you because you're no longer under law, but you're under grace. Sin will no longer have power over you because you're no longer under buck-upism or moralism or striving or putting your best foot forward or wearing a mask, or sin will not be master over you because you're under this incredible, powerful reality of grace. And the converse sadly is true. Sin will be master over you if you allow yourself to stay under the law and not under grace. The power of grace, it actually causes us to sin less and to love more. And I know we have to, as a community, keep, it's like leakage happens all the time. We have to continually make sure we are teaching what grace is saying in relationships. Because if we don't, the drift is always in that direction. And so I wrote for this week, some want to say, yeah, but what about accountability and responsibility to call out sin with this grace stuff? And our response gets to be, you can accomplish that whole calling out the sin stuff by the flesh or by wooing out the new nature to do what it most wants to do. It's not that it's not what, no. Any immature person with a bent towards exhortation can do the first, but you just risk causing the individual to learn to hide better. And you inoculate the community from risking an environment of grace. learning the art of the second, wooing out each other's new nature. That's where the great beauty is found.